Committee and ask our clerk for a call to order and roll call.
Calling the roll, Ms. Simon?
Here.
Ms. Brown? Here. Mr. Jones? Mr. Jones is absent at the moment. Mr. Shrine?
Here.
Council President Brady?
Here.
There's a quorum. Also like the record to reflect that Councilman Miller is in attendance.
Thank you. Just regarding our minutes, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting, February 21st?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes adopted. So before we begin with regard to discussion on our education assistance program, we have two aspects to present. I wanted just to start off today's meeting with a follow-up to a really exciting opening today at Lincoln Electric Welding Technology and Training Center. Councilman Schron and I attended that opening today and thought it was appropriate to bring to the Education Committee. And I just have a few slides on what we saw today, I think. Okay, so Lincoln Electric opened its training center, and the county, as background, was able to help make this project happen with $350,000 appropriation to Lincoln Electric. Actually, it was the roadway to enable them to build the center and make it happen. And this money came from casino revenue with other monies coming in through the state. This is a big deal. It's a huge center and dedicated to educating welders in all different aspects of that industry. And it's not only here in Cuyahoga County that people come from, it's industries throughout the state, country, and the world, as I understand it. Yep. So just a few slides. Okay, here is the new training center by its wind turbine, and it's a brand new building that was on a parking lot, and part of it also was a distribution center. And so now we have a brand new training center, state of the art. This is a picture from up above from a window capturing some of the places where the students learn to weld. And it's just high tech, it's modern, it's fits the needs of today's students. Okay, this on the left is a store where the students or people training can buy their gear, or anybody else who wants some swag bags from the training center. And the right-hand side is just the lobby with the attendees today. And all throughout this training center, there's different pictures for students to look at as they walk through this building about the opportunities that exist out there with regard to their welding career, that's not only limited to welding, but engineering and chemistry and science and so many different avenues that students can take in the world. So it's really just to keep inspiring them and to keep them thinking big. I think that's it. So I wanted to say casino revenue went to good use. This is going to stabilize Lincoln Electric in the city of Euclid. It's going to stay there, and it's huge for the county and be able to bring back residents, I believe, along with the Amazon Distribution Center, and to make the northeast corner of the county strong and provide jobs. Opportunity for closing the gap of what we heard about today is still a gap in jobs and manufacturing, and it's a huge gap, and we're hoping this type of training center will help fill it down the road for people who want to get this skill. Anything to say, Councilman Tron?
We helped support the wind turbine that was in that
Yes,
picture
we
too.
did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
I thought that would be something you would have.
Well, I mentioned it.
Yeah, would have.
Okay.
We had money in that. I think we had $1 million.
We did.
Yeah.
Anything further? Nothing? Okay.
No, well, there's 7,000 train the trainers that are going to be going on in there. So it's, if every one of those trainers trains 25 people per year, the multiplier effect is just huge. And then, of course, they make the parts at Lincoln. Ultimately, they're going to get consumed in the welding process too. So,
And the parts, yeah, and the parts are made, a lot of the parts for the equipment there are manufactured in Ohio.
Yep.
So it's a win-win. We really want to close the gap in terms of the need for these jobs and how to fill it, and it's appropriate that we're going to hear from workforce today, hopefully to talk about that briefly. Okay, so we're going to start, let's see, College Now. Thanks for coming in, Lee.
I'm the CEO, and Bob Durham, who runs our scholarship initiative. I have to start by saying I'm very excited about your Lincoln Elective initiative. We have been, apart from the work we've done, to put students into four-year school, there are a lot of students we serve that aren't really going to go to four-year school for all kinds of reasons. And welding is one of our biggest things we talk to them about. And we've actually gotten a pretty significant grant from the Lennon Foundation to help recruit people to careers in manufacturing. And so every little bit helps. So that was great to hear it. Thank you so much. Just wanted to give you a little update about what's going on in our world. Your support has been hugely helpful. The kids are doing wonderfully, remarkable, actually. Just the class that's only 4.5 years in, which is the first class you funded, 70% are either graduated or still enrolled, and that's awesome because that's way past the national averages for this set of kids. And for the students you funded last year, so this is a federal measure again, first to second year retention, it's at 91%. It's great. And of course, we're giving them a mentor, and our mentoring, they are right on track with our mentoring numbers. The mentoring is huge, and we appreciate the fact that, as part of our scholarship, you've bought into our mentoring program as well. We're now mentoring like 1,400 students with 1,400 mentees, and these mentors are coming from 350 companies. So, which is a nice thing because it gives these kids social capital. So if it happens, you might be interested in career in manufacturing. Maybe you never knew anybody, but perhaps your mentor, works in a manufacturing company or at Price Waterhouse or at a council, city council, county council. Maybe they want to get into government. Many of the kids we serve, they don't have the social capital to explore those kinds of careers. So we actually think in the long haul, it'll be part of the big benefit of this. But we wanted you to know that not only is the program going well, but the need's never been greater. We've been doing lots of, we always do lots of database research, and I'm not sure if we've shared this with you. I think, well, you obviously know Ohio is the 7th largest state, but we're 38th in educational attainment, and we're 45th in public university affordability. It's unbelievable. I know. It's when I tell people, they go, "What?" And it's two things. It's for many years, public college tuition, so, we're talking about everything from Tri-C to Ohio State and everything in between, was higher in our state. So the tuition was higher. Now, in the last couple of years, they've tried to keep caps on it, but, it was still way higher. And our need-based financial aid that matches the Pell money, which is partly where your money is supplementing, to be honest with you, is on the average, like if you spread it over the entire population, in Ohio, it's like $120 a student. In New York, it's like $1,800 a student. So that's huge for when these students are trying to put their packages together. And what happens is, especially in a full economy, students are lured after high school by the $12 an hour job that seems like a ton of money today, but it's not a living wage. So your investment in our students in Cuyahoga County is really helpful. We have a couple recommendations. Bob will get into it. But I wanted to sort of level set it for you. We have been working with the Higher Education Compact, with the Cleveland Foundation, with Ohio Philanthropy to try to move the needle in Columbus. This is a place where if you have any help, talk to the gubernatorial candidates. We're going to have a new governor. It might be a unique opportunity for the next 8 years, because we've got states that we can't compete against. Tennessee, free community college. New York, free community college. Florida, huge dollars going towards kids that have good grades. Georgia. And in Northeast Ohio alone, and you all know this, but there's like 70,000 unemployed people and 40,000 open jobs, which is why your other side, your workforce piece. So these are nice pieces that fit together, but cost of education is a huge issue. So I just wanted to thank you again for the support. And is there any questions for me, or would you like Bob to kind of get into the specifics, and then we could open it up? Okay, Bob, why don't you take it over?
As Lee mentioned, we're seeing great success. We had our first group finish their first 4 years of college. Excitingly, 46% of them have already graduated. Comparatively, nationally, for Pell eligible students, which the students are all Pell eligible, a 6-year graduation rate nationally is 42%. So we've, in 4.5 years, graduated more than the 6-year national average. And 24% of the students are still enrolled in college. So we're hoping that all 24%. So right now, like Lee said, we have 70% in school. Lee did mention our newest cohort, the 91% persistence to sophomore year. But if you look at our report, cohort 3 actually, we're still at a 91% persistence to junior year. So we're really excited about that group. I mean, I want to say it's going to be every group like that, but that's a little bit of an outlier. But we're really excited about those results. Things that we're also working with on the mentoring side, so you understand what's going on there, is we are still matching every student one-on-one with a mentor. We continue to adjust the curriculum that the mentors and mentees have. So every 2 weeks, they get a discussion topic. We continue to try to gear that towards furthering not just their education, but their career prospects and things of that nature. Other things we're starting to research, because our mentoring program just hit its first year, full 6-year cohort, is now we're starting to get data in from the whole mentoring program and starting to use some of that data to identify early warning signs. You know, what are some signs that we can start taking from students early on in the process that they might be at risk of dropping out? So that's sort of our goal over the next year or two, to sort of start identifying and being able to intervene earlier rather than waiting until after they're in trouble. As Lee said, there are still challenges. Since we moved to the $1,500 a year per student, which was in 2014. As you see on page 3, the average cost of college for our students has risen to $2,400. That's 3 years, a $2,400 increase. The gap per student is over $1,000 more. So we are, I mean, $1,500 we're very happy with, but we are asking for the council to consider not increasing the total amount awarded, the $500,000, but allowing us to move the scholarships from $1,500 to $1,750, a $250 increase per student per year, so $1,000 if they go all 4 years.
We pick the same number of students.
It would be a little bit of a decrease. If we did it the same process this year, we'd be at the same 76 students estimated this year, which would put us right around we were in previous years. We were at 80 last year, so it would drop us a few students. Because, just as a reminder, any funds that go unused, so we have 70% still in school, 30% aren't. The funding that those students that didn't go back to school gets moved into the next group of scholarships. So we'll have a little bit more money to award. So we do that every year. Unused funds goes to the new cohort to pick more freshmen. So we were hoping that you might consider that. And that is pretty much all I have. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Okay, great job. And I'm not sure what we're going to need to do. I guess we'll discuss whether we'll enable the gap to be increased or increase the amount to close that gap.
I mean, it's a give or take proposition. You know, it's like funding more students is great, making the scholarships more impactful is great too. So it's sort of a challenge trying to make sure that the students still can meet their gap. But
Well, you're the experts in this and you see what's happening. And do you find if it's insufficient money to close that gap that we're losing the students that otherwise would have been able to get through the
I
program?
think we run into a couple problems. For some students, yes. I mean, the difference between $250 or $1,000 might not be the difference between graduating and not graduating, but it could be the difference between going full-time and going part-time one semester, especially for our students like at a Tri-C or a Cleveland State. $250 would cover a full credit hour at Tri-C. The other thing we're seeing is the high level of student loan debt these students are taking out. And you guys have seen all over. I mean, it's over $1 trillion nationally, but we're seeing it with our students as well. The debt is going through the roof, and we're trying to help them keep their loan payments. So when they do graduate and find a great job, they can hopefully still afford to pay those student loans back, because we are seeing student loan debts. You know, some students have payments as high as $2,000 a year, or a month, not a year, a month. You know, we do work with those students as well, because there are opportunities for them to reduce that aid, but it's still a very big burden on these students when they graduate. So that's another area why we're looking at possibly increasing the funding per student.
Well, and I think you know that we work, you know, the county executive has given us a contract to work with county employees to get into these public sector loan forgiveness programs, which are fabulous. They are on the chopping block under this president's budget, which let's hope it doesn't go anywhere. But again, you know, anything you can do around that kind of stuff, just keep telling your elected officials that those are the kinds of things. It's going to put this country out of business. I mean, as you know, in Europe and Canada and other places, Cuba, even, college is free. And the United States is one of the only places that really has a mostly pay-to-play system. There are some countries have these, you know, some private colleges, but mostly it's free. So it's tough. And we just appreciate everything you do for us and for the kids. Okay?
Any questions? Okay, I guess not, but I'll find out what we have to do if we have to legislate, get an amendment to, I can't remember if it's all codified in terms of how they can, yes. Mr. Sarin.
Khalil Sarin, County Council staff. This would be a relatively simple amendment to the Educational Assistance Program section of the code. Very short piece of legislation that would basically just amend a number. So it would go from 5,000 to 7,000.
So I'm going to ask the staff to prepare that, and when we meet again, we'll consider it. Okay? All right. Well, great job. I think this is really important that we're providing this opportunity. And just as a reminder, our charter emphasized the importance of us focusing county council on education. And that we can't underestimate the importance and the, mandate from the electorate if they read it in detail.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next. Thank you. Okay, workforce. And so this is the second piece of the educational assistance program. And we have our college piece and we have a workforce piece, and are anxious to hear from you to see how everything's going with the county money.
Sorry about that. With me is Frank Brickner, who is the Deputy Director and Chief Financial Officer, and also we have Nicole Cranford in the Peanut Gallery, who actually runs this program on a day-to-day basis. So we're very happy to be here today to just share a few highlights with you about this program. It is a great complement to our overall offering for the the One-Stop Career Center, which, we currently run 6 core programs and 10 partner programs that are located there, mostly funded with federal money. And so this program gives us an opportunity to offer this special program for individuals who would not otherwise qualify for our help, potentially for training programs. So we have put together a 3-year analysis for you of this scholarship program, and you should have that data. And what it focuses on is outcomes. What happened to your investment? So we're looking at completion rates of the training, job placement rates, how much money did they make, and we're also looking at using it on which programs seem to be performing better than others, which ones are stronger, so that we can help people go toward those programs. This program, of course, is really used by those that really need it to get to their goal. They're in college, they're working on a degree, and they need that extra help because they've run out of money, and they've run out of resources, and so it's something that can help them. So over the last 3 years, we've had almost 250 Cuyahoga County residents participate in this program. We have a 91% completion rate for those individuals. And to date, 67% of them have been employed. So that's 168 out of the 249. We expect, however, those employment numbers to go up, because as they complete school, it takes a while for them to find a job, to get placement, and then it takes us a while after that to verify that they've been placed, which we get that data through employer wage records through the state. So that takes us a couple more quarters to get that. If you look at what they studied, they mostly studied what we call high in-demand occupations in our areas, which is what our whole enterprise focuses on, actually. And so you will see that nursing, social work, truck driving, IT are some of the key sectors, with healthcare being number 1, manufacturing being number 3 at 22%, and human services also at 22%. you will see that about half of the training that we funded under this program was with our public institutions. So that's Cleveland State and Tri-C. But we also, you'll see if you look at the data, there's a couple what we call standout schools that their completion and placement rates exceed 85%. And two of those are Great Lakes Truck Driving and Tech Elevator, which was doing the coding boot camp kind of classes. Essentially, if you look at the salary analysis of the 168 job placements we've had so far, we have wage data on 131 of them. And for those 131, they are earning almost $5.5 million a year. So for the 500,000 investment, that's the kind of wages that we're getting, which that's an average salary of $41,371. So that exceeds what we can do on even our regular program, which our placement rate is closer to $14 an hour in our larger program where we place almost 4,000 people a year in jobs. So it's a very successful program. Like I said, it's great to have it as part of our offering where we have lots of programs. We try to fit people's needs, and we focus on in-demand jobs, which I might just add. I have, first of all, left this, which is our latest annual report, because it's on program year. We're currently in program year 2017. And it will give you some of the data on our other programs that we run. We also are right now currently with our board planning for In-Demand Jobs Week, which will be May 7th to the 11th. We've been talking to Lincoln Electric about one more time showcasing the facility that you visited this morning and doing some other events and things with other partners to highlight jobs that are in demand in our area, such as welding and machining and nursing and others. So that is the highlights of our presentation. We'd be happy to answer questions.
Questions of the committee? Councilman Strong?
You indicated that the manufacturing was third on the list of jobs. Is that what I thought I heard?
Yes, from the training areas that we invested in, 28% was healthcare, 22% human services, 22% manufacturing.
Okay.
So it was really tied for second.
All right, well, that wasn't, it was just, I thought I was curious over on the scholarship side, it only has 3 participants in the occupancy. Help me on understanding why there's a disconnect between the jobs that you're placing and the first sheet is out here. It shows it being way down and nursing being way at the top as far as where we're providing training. Social work, truck drivers was third, and you said that was number 1 on your list, but I can that one correlates, and IT was up there, but these other ones just don't seem to correlate
This is what
between
he's asking.
what we're training and
The
the placements,
transportation is the
unless I'm
truck
missing it.
driving, right? So,
Which one? The one she's reading from? Yeah,
So-
I got this one here.
yes, that's a very good question. So the category is actually manufacturing and transportation. I kind of shorthanded it, so apologize for that. And so truck driving is so big that it made that number go up for manufacturing and transportation, which is the category.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's the 22%.
all right. Okay, then,
You're right. Under this, yeah, it's kind of surprising. And I think from my perspective, there's a couple reasons why machinists and welders are so low on this list for this program. And I think one of the reasons is because of the focus on bachelor's degrees that this program has, which our other programs don't. So we have more occupational training with some of our other funding. But we can use it for this. It's just, it also has that focus on completing your bachelor's degree. Was one of the primary purposes for this program.
okay, because the folks that we saw today, I would not have assumed that they would have had a bachelor's. They were pursuing a technical,
Right.
maybe certificate or credential from the trade association to which
Right.
welders are recognized for, but it would not be in this category. So these are this is a 4-year degree that we're talking about here, or is it a
This
2-year
count-
degree or certificate, or?
Well, it's the way that the county law is written is to help complete basically your bachelor's degree if you're within 12 hours of graduating, or we can use it for completing other programs, such as welding and others. So that's the reason that they're on the list. But we also have other training money available. And so we have used our other money is primarily more for career technical training. We don't use that money for 4-year degrees because we only have 1 year of that to use. So we have supported welding training, CNC machinist training, other manufacturing training with our other federal training funds.
Well, then that just begs then the follow-on question, which, and I'm not trying to shortchange a truck driver, but I don't think of that as being a 4-year credential degree either. And if that's on this list, and that's one of the highest categories, then
Yeah,
are we
it's,
really sending money to truck drivers to go to a 4-year bachelor degree?
no, we're not.
Okay.
No, and I didn't mean to say that we're not funding career technical training with this, we are. But that was one of the things I was speculating might be why our manufacturing is a little bit lower, because we do have a little bit more emphasis on like nursing and that kind of thing.
If I can, in closing the gap, so whatever truck driving training is needed and they can't afford to complete that program, whether it's getting their special licensing, this program is set up to close that gap. So it's not only 4-year degrees, it's technical training if they can't afford to finish. So it's
Right.
both. So the
Right,
truck
it's used for
drivers.
both, it is, definitely.
But from your oversight of this program, as we have it articulated in legislation, do you think we are getting the bang for the county's resident buck?
I mean, we think that the completions and placement and salary are all great results for the investment in these programs, yeah, and of this program.
Yeah, you cited higher salaries at average
Yes.
from the other programs. And why is that? Because of the degrees that people
Yeah, I think some of
attain?
these are higher
Yeah,
credentials, which
Right.
gets you a better salary, exactly.
that's right. So it is being used.
Yeah, sometimes I associate the word scholarship with a degreed program as opposed to credentials, which are not thought of, I don't believe, as a degreed program, which I wholeheartedly support credentials. And the truck driver credential to be able to drive a big semi is a phenomenal thing to get somebody back there working and be in the environment. So I'm not dissuading that. I wasn't reading this data that way. I was
Yes.
reading it
Well,
wrong.
it's not combined. I mean,
Yeah.
because transportation and.
It's
machining
transportation
isn't
and
combined.
manufacturing, and I was a little misleading in that, so I apologize for that
Okay.
again.
Okay. Any other questions? I thought Councilman Miller had a question. Go ahead.
In the column where it says percent employed, do they have to be employed in the particular field that they were trained for in order to be considered employed in that column?
I don't believe so. You want to add anything?
No, they don't have to be, but almost in all instances, they are. Because most of the placements that we are identifying, we do note that they are employed in that area. So there's probably very few instances where they're in an occupation not trained in.
But I believe that we can also provide that data. Yes. We have the data, so we could go back and I don't have it with me today, but we could go back and take a look at specifically where they placed in the job they were trained in.
Just a quick question. So you listen to College Now, how they use money that students that don't complete their program, they use it for the next cohort. I don't know if there's a similar analogy here to the use of funds. If you don't use them, are you using all of the allocation within the time frame? And if you aren't using it, what happens to that money?
Well, last year, we did not use all the money. We spent $430,000 of the $500,000. One of the challenges we face is we have performance-based contracts with our training institutes. So we offer up to $5,000 scholarship, but that doesn't mean they get all $5,000. They may get payment up to 50% for the tuition, and they'll get another 25% for successful completion of the program, and then the remaining 25% for job placement. So if they're not successful, I think we obligated all the funds, but at the end of the day, not all the dollars were spent last year.
But I think that was like the first year.
Yes.
That was the first year since 2012 that they didn't all get spent. And I think that there was, we had some staff changes. We were moving. There was a lot of stuff going on with our place this year. So I don't quite know how that happened. We don't like it when that happens because we've got way more demand for training across all our programs than we can meet.
Is that money sitting someplace in your budget?
It goes back to the county.
Did it come back to us?
Came back
They
to
took
the
it.
county.
They clawed it back?
That's what our understanding was, that it was
Okay.
coming back to the county.
Okay, so we're going to watch this, obviously. I'm going to have you come in again just to see how the money's, if you're using what we give, and make sure that we have all the information we need to make good decisions with this.
Yes,
I mean, 'cause you have a lot of
We don't intend
federal-
to have any left over this year.
Right, okay. Yeah, because you have federal money that you manage and, okay.
Yes, this is the only money we have that's not federal money
Okay,
out of our $14 million budget.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's no other questions. Okay, thanks
you
so
very
much.
much.
We'll see you sooner than later to check in. Okay, so that being done, thank you, everybody. That's, I think our programs are being effectively managed and benefiting our residents as anticipated. And we have one more discussion piece from Councilman Miller, who, under miscellaneous business, wanted to talk about your program that you had a pilot with.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm not going to talk about it in detail, but I just wanted to make everybody aware that we created a pilot program which was a college level internship program, and it was coordinated by Cuyahoga Community College and YOU and also COSI, and together they created a program where students were engaged to work on specific projects as opposed to just being brought in to do what was ever laying around to do, and they did projects that businesses need but had a hard time finding the time to get done. Things like additional marketing development, looking for prospective customers, upgrading their social media presence, and things like that. And we did a 1-year pilot program in 2016, and it was highly successful, and the students loved it and the businesses loved it, and it worked very well. And I proposed this program as a potential third component of this educational assistance program, and submitted legislation which is still laying around here to actually do that. So I would ask that at some point we should consider that, because I think it's a very good program. I think it would help encourage some high-level students to develop relationships so that they remain in Cleveland after they finish their training. The pilot program had a very good percentage of minority participation. And so it had a lot to offer. So I just put that out there for everybody's consideration, that we should take a look at it.
So we can bring that back one of our next meetings that's not heavily populated with legislation. So that being said, any other further discussion? Public comment?
No, Madam Chair, no
Okay.
one signed in.
So we're going to adjourn. Thank you.